With a few years in difference, another third title came in, and Ratchet's, starting armor in this is a bit better. It's great, but at least it conveys better the idea that, it's your starting mode, but it will change into something more practical soon enough. So, what's the deal with this? Our characters are still stuck in the Bogon galaxy, but they will return to Solana very soon because we're about to have War Baby. Also, yes, this was one of the few... Also, yes, I can confirm we have subtitles, finally.
Finally! Jesus Christ, it only... So how come only 3 has subtitles? Someone...
I don't know, and I honestly don't want to know. I can explain more during the gameplay section.
My Blargian Snagglebeast devours your mutant swamp fly. Oh yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming. Hey, what are you doing?
Check and mate.
What? That's cheating!
On the contrary, the rules clearly state that the Blargian Snagglebeast has an allergic reaction to swamp flies.
Be glad, Clank, that unlike in Star Wars, the Lombaxes do not repair. Oh, you're gonna love this. Maktar Casino, 12:31 AM. Check this out, Weaves.
Your luck is extraordinary, sir. But do you lose as gracefully as you win?
I would not know, Maximilian. I never lose.
There is a first time for everything. Agent Clank!
Wait, is this Secret Agent Clank?
Yes,
yes!
It's the in-universe thing that Clank is actually filming.
You missed! So much for the
I thought it was like you disguised the playthrough as...
No, two or three from now.
Shocking.
Ha ha ha.
Shocking.
Bring the car
Positively
around,
shocking.
Jeeves, and mind the ejector seat this time.
And Ratchet gets to be the chauffeur.
Stay tuned for more Secret Agent Clank.
That was terrific.
Yeah, great. Change the channel.
But the man said to stay tuned.
We continue
Oh, it's
our
Veldin,
live coverage
and
from Veldin.
not particularly
Just hours
well.
ago, the planet was attacked without warning by a terrifying alien race known as the Tyrannoids. Officials believe that an evil robotic supervillain known as
Yes, right from the get-go, the game wastes no time in telling us who the main bad guy is. Then again, it did so also with Sherman Draft. And in this case, we will meet more properly Dr. Nefarious soon, but yeah, so that's his maybe. Also, is this reporter gonna get killed again?
Technically, we've never actively seen her get killed, just, implied to be.
Also, like, this thing puzzled me. So you're telling me that, okay, apparently the duo had no way of returning to the Solana galaxy until now, just because Ratchet had an experimental extra component for the ship.
Coming? We are doomed.
Kinda makes you wonder, like, were they just content to stay in a galaxy away from home? Ratchet seemed pretty attached to his home in the first game.
To the point, where now that he's in danger, he immediately rushes into Veldin. So, I don't know.
I guess they considered themselves having moved up to the high life as celebrities.
Well, I can tell you this, ironically enough, Veldin is gonna be only your tutorial. After this, you don't even get to return to it, if I remember correctly. And game-wise, it kind of disappears, and it's only there in the background, occasionally talked about, and only has a small prominence in the comic issues.
Now, to be fair to this game, I chalk that up to them wanting to do the trend of different galaxy for each game, or at the very least a whole different set of levels for each game, but still wanted to maintain some level of continuity with Veldin. This would sadly not as much be a thing with future games, no pun intended, but no, like, I can at least get why it's the case here. Yeah, I do agree that, you know, other games should have at least brought Veldin back more, though.
Alright, the Galactic Rangers are really there just to be a bit of a satire towards Halo. Not really. That's because Halo has started to become very popular around this point, so they were like, yeah, let's take the piece out of that, why not?
Cute.
So interestingly enough, your starting weapon is a shotgun. Again, I'm always interested in the choices made for, you know, the little things for these games, and this is actually one of them. It is very effective, you know. It's not the Doom 2 super shotgun, but you know, it still has a decent enough, you know, range and you know, firepower. So, and of course, much like all the other weapons, it will get better with time. So,
good old Insomniac creativity, but yes.
You can reverse the camera controls in the options menu.
Am I glad to see you, Sarge? We're pinned down by that enemy vehicle. Somebody's gotta take it out.
Let me guess, that somebody is me.
We got a volunteer. Here, Sarge, take this. We'll cover you from back there.
good to know. That
Brave soldiers.
the nitro
you are.
launcher is similar to one of the starting weapons when you're in the second game, as you can see, like a mini nuke. It's very just for the bigger targets, like the vehicles. Go on, Jova.
Basically your equivalent to a grenade launcher, but yes. Up Your Arsenal does what, well, any third installment of a game series should do. It learns lessons from its previous two entries and combines what it's learned with something new and fresh to create what, again, I myself personally consider to be the utmost standard of the series. Again, that's not me saying that, oh, it's downhill from here, but I do feel like Up Your Arsenal is truly something special. Like, it introduced what would come to be pretty much the series' most iconic antagonist, Dr. Nefarious. It definitely got the series up to, I'd say, its pinnacle of writing, from which, you know, it would build off from that. It has a very good select cast of characters, and while sadly it does kind of, well, I don't even want to say it ignores stuff from 2, but yeah, sadly Angela don't really feature much in this, but I digress. It still feels like, you know, it's still in the same universe as the last 2, even with some discrepancies aside.
It also has a very, as you were able to see, it also has a very simple type of conclusion. It doesn't feel like the big capping off of a trilogy like Live or Jack and Daxter was.
Yeah. It finds that good middle ground of, okay, we could end with this, but the door is still noticeably open.
Yes, babes.
So yeah, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, or in Europe it's just Ratchet and Clank 3 for the most part, or in Japan, Ratchet and Clank 3 Charge Galactic Rangers.
Yeah, that fits enough with the theme of war and the fact that there's a task force also created later on for this game. Also,
it could also fit with the theme of media, essentially, since, you know, as you've noticed, Clank and Ratchet are, well, more so Clank. Yeah. I'm guessing the reason that they make Clank the main hero of the movie series is, like, the idea is that Ratchet gets to be more so the war hero.
Ratchet's old garage. Wonder what could be with the Qwark poster. Gone.
Nice. I'm guessing the mentality is that while Ratchet gets to be more so the war and superhero, Clank gets to be more so the superstar of the bunch, essentially. It's
apparently, again, as established also with the second game, apparently the guy has so much charisma. Again, I don't question it, but I found it still very weird.
I'm guessing the idea was to subvert the idea of Clank being the nerdy guy who wouldn't get some.
Then again, okay, if the big explanation about his origin it told in a cracking time is anything to go by, he might have a bit of, you know, not cheat code, but something similar to that in being appealing to people. So who knows?
That was such a weird retcon, but we're not to a cracking time yet.
Situation.
This is also another one of your gimmicks, while not as prevalent here in this tutorial. In a couple of other planets, you will have to do specific war-like missions. The game will literally deploy you, where you Fortnite drop you in a place, in a small area where you have a set of small objectives like capture the flag or, you know, chase, defeat all enemies. If that sounds like almost a multiplayer mode, that's because this game had multiplayer. If I recall correctly, the PS3 version actually did have online multiplayer incorporated, but eventually the servers were shut down. But yes, even the original had it. It was one of the few PS2 games that incorporated the console's LAN capabilities, you know. Obviously I never tried it, but I know that it was fairly popular actually. So, but because again, this was the big era of both couch, you know, and the start of more prominence of online co, because, you know, stuff like Quake had been a thing since, you know, time immemorial.
Oh yeah, and let me just say, I love the mission variety in this one. Like, again, like... And the funny thing is, while war is definitely more the subject of this game, they still do have, obviously, the funnier stuff to balance it out, but I'd say war is one half of it. The other half is, well, the superstar world, essentially, but, you know.
It's still, the whole goal is still about satire, in this case, you know, remember me again, Dweeb, since you've covered to check the titles, what year specifically was this released?
2004.
So, the early years of the War of Terror, which really kind of partially makes sense, considering we also have a bit of political satire in this, including also the war against the primary species that's attacking us, the Tyrannoids. So yes, it's all part of the satire, and that includes also sensationalism on TV.
Thank goodness this didn't get censored like a lot of games were in that regard.
Again,
well, I mean,
it's
lost the
gone.
I mean, over here in the UK, I just checked our box art. We lost the Up Your Arsenal tagline.
I can imagine why.
Well, I can think of two reasons. You know, art and, you know, Arsenal Football Club.
Again, it's mostly because of the innuendo, you know, it's been one of the constant things. Only, okay, Jova, apparently I heard that this guy, the galactic president, is supposed to be a parody of Bill Clinton. Can you confirm that? Okay.
No, hold on a second.
Because again, I'm not as versed when it comes to all politicians, aside of Ronald Reagan.
One man has ever faced him and survived. I've just received a top
Honestly, originally I thought it was more of a take on George W. Bush, but it's more important. Apparently, the one thing that can stop Nefarious might be a mystery. Specifically a parody of the Bigfoot documentaries. Yes, or even in the early 2000s they were a thing.
The president is voiced by Lindsay Schnebley.
I've seen him run right through our camping site. He was buck naked, screaming and holding a banana. Or maybe it weren't a banana.
Oh god.
Yeah, let's move on.
Legend tells.
Of course, even the fucking blurry photo that mimics the movement of the Bigfoot picture.
Shamed by his recent past,
I wonder who this creature can be.
It could be anyone, but yeah, like I said,
find out the answer.
For Ratchet and Clank's bout, this will go into a lot of, you know, war, Starship Troopers parody stuff, and also a lot of, you know, classic.
Are you sure this is the guy you're looking for,
movies
Mr. President? Yeah, he seems like kind of a, you know, wacko.
You may be right, but he's the best chance we've
I
got.
guess the accent is somewhat similar to Bill Clinton's, but I don't really recall any mannerisms that reminded me heavily about Bill Clinton. I mean, granted, maybe there are some scenes with the president I don't recall.
Well, he's relatively prominent as a character in the game, so we'll have more to come, basically. For the time being, we have to direct ourselves to Florana, our first major proper planet.
I guess I'll also admit, as a kid, obviously any Clinton stuff would have flown over my head with this as a kid, so... You know, looking back at this as an adult, I'll see if I notice more.
Florana as your first level is actually not that bad. Jungle planet with plenty of fauna to kill and, you know, a decent enough set of platforming course. So that's pretty neat. And you can start, you know, improving your arsenal here with stuff like the N60 Storm, a more traditional type of, you know, gun, but also, if you notice, a whip, a plasma whip, which I will get by the end of the part. So that is, again, the creativity in the weapon variety be able to actually, you know, not fall too much into the trap, you know, repeating too many weapons from the previous games, but they still were to include a couple of returning ones for the sake of, you know, having fan favorites. You'll be able to see. Also, worth noting that your arsenal, the evolution of weapons have been amplified. If you notice in the first game, so in the second game, the weapons evolved only once, and it took a while before getting there. In here, they have a set of levels, usually 4 to 5, and when they get to the final one, that's when they fully evolve into something else.
Mm-hmm. Like that. I also do feel like Free, again, should go without saying, but I feel like Free also refined the level design the best out of the trilogy.
They're going just showcasing a bit the first person already, since, you know, might as well. You can toggle it, you know, as much as you want. Again, I don't use it because I personally will not find platforming very comfortable with that. But again, if you just want to dedicate yourself to the shooting, like in, for example, in an arena, yeah, you can go for it.
Yeah, no. Like, this game really, I do feel, it has it all for the most part. It has some of the best platforming, some of the best level design,
also
weapon
introducing
progression.
new stuff like special boxes, like that green one, which is a temporary bolt multiplier, jackpot box. Obviously, this becomes more important in New Game Plus, into challenge mode where you already have the existing multiplier. But as you can see, even in the base game, it allows you to farm bolts very quickly, especially when it will be combined with stuff like the box breaker and the magnetizer. Go on.
You'll notice that most bolts also come in gold this time.
Well, they're just the way they're colored, not much more to it.
That's an interesting change, but yes.
Oh, go on.
But yes, while the idea is that mainly we're at war, essentially, hence the term up your arsenal, there will be a bit of the bits where we check out the celebrity lifestyle. Like, again, if there's one thing I can appreciate, at least for the original trilogy, it's that these games do respect what your heroes did, essentially. It's not like, oh, who are you? No. Ratchet and Clank
the kind of joke is that, at least when it comes to the movie panorama, Ratchet is the one that people don't give a shit about. But
yeah.
This is usually compensated by the war effort, you know, instead, particularly the Galactic Rangers are usually treating you with more respect.
Like, it is called Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet is technically the leader of the two, one could argue, essentially. And when the chips are down, he is often the one you'll turn to. That's not to say Clank doesn't have his dues or whatnot, but I do get the feeling that the reason Clank gets a lot of the say-so and the celebrity stuff is, well, the writer's throwing him that bone, essentially, since otherwise he is kind of the sidekick.
It's also important because one of the major themes of this game, the small depth that, you know, the story of this has, is exploring the theme about robot equality compared to their organic creators.
Yes.
Obviously, at the end of the day, it would be more for comedy, but it's still explored nonetheless. Of course, you're not getting stuff like Detroit Become Human, but, you know, or to put it in a more, you know, like product Blade Runner, but, you know, it's still there to some degree. It's basically one of the big motivations of our villain, believe it or not.
Like, keep in mind, essentially, like, we talk about the TV reporter robot. Like, while she technically hasn't died on screen, she is implied to have died at least once per game, essentially. So it does lead you to wonder, did they make a TV reporter because they can be killed but just brought back to life easily? What strain does that have on the TV reporter and whatnot? Like, now we're not gonna go, like Tio said, we're not gonna go deep cerebral with this, but this game will raise some interesting questions on that regard.
And one of them directly involves the relations that Ratchet and Clank do have. This will be further explored in a cracking time, but you know, it's already present here in some capacity. Hell, even one of the spin-off on the PSP, Secret Agent Clank, poses that question towards the end. Also, another power-up, the Inferno. Suddenly, Ratchet decided that dual wielding is good.
Hey, look at that! You can hold on to
and
your
and gets a 2 edgy for you fire armor.
Beautiful.
It's basically the equivalent of a Berserk power-up from Doom, nothing more to that.
In terms of other stuff, this game did really good. While obviously we're not going to meet him yet in this part, Nefarious. Nefarious was so beloved as a villain that they actually retconned him to be there as early as the first game. Though, you know, much more on that later, for better or for worse.
Also, if I recall correctly, I'm about to get it. There are a couple of different collectibles here. Obviously, the special Bolt Return, I forgot what they're called in this version. But you do get also a set of statues, which I think I'm about to collect one. Yes, there you go, right here. Let's see if we give one about Ratchet. Again, these will be basically for a sort of a mini gallery in your hub, which we'll get after this first level. And unlocking all of them is one of the requirements to actually unlock the Insomniac Museum, so you'll be able to see.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Agent Ratchet, we're in the middle of a conflict here. Will you stop showing off with your gun?
How is that Funko Pop game doing anyway?
Terrible. Well, again, even Doom 2016 actually had that as a form of collectible. Sort of. Obviously, we don't call them that, but instead he's sadly there.
I guess I'll just admit, I get it. It appeals to some people. And, you know, there are a lot of collectibles out there. I never got Funko Pops. I just
again, honestly, it's very simple. Demand better. Sure. Again, if the problem that you seem to have is the fact that regular action figures cost really that much, demand better. I get what is your plight, but the solution is not to lower yourself to that kind of level to get second slot is what I'm feeling to that. Anyway,
Ratchet, we have company.
Where?
Oh.
Behind you.
Where?
Behind you.
It's a one-eyed monkey.
You having a good time?
Oh God.
You trespass on sacred ground. Now you
I wonder who that is.
But, sir.
Yeah,
anyone
Ratchet's
else getting deja vu?
Ratchet's face says it all.
This mysterious figure is putting us through an obstacle course meant to kill us.
And he's not even disguising his outfit that well.
This mysterious figure is voiced by Jim Ward, yes. As you can see, however, you can exit immediately if you want. It's not like you're locked in immediately. But you do need to get through. If I recall correctly, you get one skill point if you manage to perform the entire path of that without getting damaged. But I think I'll get it off screen.
Yes, this game does have its own fair share of obstacle courses as well.
You also noticed that your nanotechs are not representing with a number, which makes tracking down much more easy. How much health do you have? Don't get me wrong, I did not mind the way they looked in the first two games, with a more icon. But again, when you start to have big numbers, you might as well, start having a more classic type of system in how to track them. Go on.
But yeah, they got a bout of obstacle courses. It's a way for them to flex their platform. And again, gotta appreciate Ratchet and Clank. I think one of the reasons why it may have been one of the more you know, sustaining platformers that lasted even into the more shooty era was that it incorporated shooting with its platforming.
I argue Jack 3 also did a very good job in combining the shooting mechanics with the different, you know, platforming challenges, including also the vehicle fighting. But again, at that point it was a sort of a too little too late situation, potentially. But again, that's a story for another time.
Why do I get the feeling they were channeling their inner Crash Bandicoot fans with this section?
Potentially. And let's get the whip too.
Like, that's not to say Crash was the only platformer, but I really do get the...
I really like the physics on how it's animated the whip, but more in a second.
Not me.
Okay, we walked your path of death. Now, tell us what you know about Dr. Nefarious.
Huh?
Dr. Nefarious! They say you're the only man to ever beat him.
Huh?
Jeez, this guy's even dumber than...
Captain Qwark?
Yeah, Captain Qwark! That's it, Qwark. You've had this coming for a long
No kidding.
time.
So yes, for your first boss, you get to kick the crap out of Qwark.
Finally.
I mean, yeah, I know, it's a piece of shit anyway.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Again, this has been, you know, not foreshadowed, but at least the fan was, as a fan, I was kind of demanding something like this for a while. Sure, you can make an argument that, oh no, he's not his full self and everything, but I don't give a shit. You know, past baggage and all, so taste my plasma.
I love how Australia's answer to the subtitling problem for the title of the game was just to say, oh, it's called Ratchet and Clank 3 up your arsehole. That's
Well,
just
again,
put number 3 in it.
It's not that bad of an idea to combine things. Go on, Jojo.
Oh yeah, like honestly, I consider it always best to include a number in your titles. Don't be afraid of counting sequels. But yeah, no, like, no ship battles, no cutscene only nonsense. It's just a full-on fight between you and Qwark, who is not
Qwark
himself.
Has completely lost his mind. Now what?
Just keep the mask on. He thinks you are his new leader.
Great.
Sure. We also get the monkey, one-eyed monkey around for the ride with Host Cruncher.
So yes, Qwark will be joining us for now.
Incoming call.
And we had a call from the president's daughter,
Sasha. Of the
Sasha.
Starship Phoenix. The president has asked me to assist.
This is a more blatant example of giving a love interest to Ratchet.
See you have located Captain Qwark.
Yeah, we got him, but, well, he thinks he's a monkey.
Of course. Bring him to the Phoenix and we'll see what we can do. Sasha out.
Alright, then. That's what technically we're gonna do in the next part. So strap in where we actually go to the Starship Phoenix and see if we can do something about Qwark's problem. See ya.
See ya.
See you then.